Greetings. This is Revere Sky. Revere Sky's Essence. I'm going to play a clip real quick. I'm going to let it play through twice so I can stay on subject, because there's really something that I need to explain. Maybe the world won't get it now, but maybe the world will get it later, because the fashion show has to cease to exist. And the reason the fashion show has to cease to exist is so that we can actually start accomplishing goals, okay? But this is very important. Listen at this clip. I'm going to let it play twice.
One of the things I would not do, I would never deal with a woman with children. Whether you're lion or tiger, no children. If you're going to deal, especially if you're going to be a lion. If you're going to be a lion, make your own pride. The only way I would deal with children is after 35 and a tiger. See, lions are social cats. That means you're going to have a social life. That means you're going to have a masculine wardrobe. That means you're going to have a lot of things. The tiger, you're going to have a wardrobe. You're going to have your wolf pack. You're going to have a passport, because you are traveling like your godfather. One of the things I would not do, I would never deal with a woman with children. Whether you're lion or tiger, no children. If you're going to deal, especially if you're going to be a lion. If you're going to be a lion, make your own pride. The only way I would deal with children is after 35 and a tiger. See, lions are social cats. That means you're going to have a social life. That means you're going to have a masculine wardrobe. That means you're going to have a lot of things. The tiger, you're going to have a wardrobe. You're going to have your wolf pack. You're going to have a passport, because you are traveling like your godfather.
Okay. Let me get started by saying that people in relationships mentally think like a child. They cannot surpass reality. Okay? For some reason, there was rules that there should be man, woman, and child. For some reason, these rules just stuck. Okay? Like, you got certain species of animals that stick with the mother and child, where the male animal sticks with the mother and child, and you have some where they hit it and quit it, and the mother has to fend and protect the children. Okay? You can learn from nature. And if you look at a man's nature, God created the woman to be able to protect her children, raise her children. She can't help that she was put in an environment where she was no longer fighting beasts. Okay? See, just within 200 or 300 years ago, we were still wearing tribal clothing. And when we were wearing tribal clothing, she didn't really have to deal with the tribe or the community turning their back on her. She had to protect her children from worldly things, animals, insects, Don't fall in this hole. Don't don't run over this cliff. Don't climb the trees too crazy. You know what I mean? Be careful in the world, right? Now, a woman raising children have to worry about a polluted group of people, a polluted community, a polluted city, a polluted state. You understand? Travelers, visitors, foreigners, migrants. Not only that, she has to deal with a brainwashed group of men that DNA was designed to conquer her. Okay? No matter how persuasive she can be, no matter how sexualized she can be, her DNA was not designed to conquer the man. Okay? She has the skills, the mindset, the intuition, and the spirit to do it, but she was not designed, her DNA was not designed to conquer the man like the man DNA was designed to make her docile, okay? His energy was definitely designed to make her docile. So when you hear a person give information about, I would never date a woman with children, do you know this man has children? This man has a baby mama. Do you know how many men out there I know that have children and they say they won't wife a woman with children? Do you know in the real world, you see men that work a 9-to-5 with a woman with children all the time? Like even me, I was a part of a community. I had several stepfathers, okay? And it was like a community thing. Like, no matter where they worked or when they came over or whatever, I had several stepfathers, okay? It was a community. It was never like anybody would just turn their back on children. I was raised around men that all looked at me as their daughter and had high regards and high respect for me. My mother never brought a man around that did not gravitate towards children in a loving, respectful, fatherly way. Never. I've never heard a man that she ever brought around that ever disliked children, didn't want us around. Like, we were able to actually, like, be around them. You know what I mean? Like, when they wanted their private time, sure. But I cannot recall no man she ever brought around that did not adore me like their daughter. They probably didn't even have children. But they were all like, if it was school time, school season, whatever, they gave me an allowance just like they gave her an allowance. Like, I'm not saying allowance, you know what I mean? Whatever budget they had for her, that's how it was. Like, still to this day, as a grown woman, if she's with a man right now, he does not look at me as I'm a threat or I'm a problem. He looks at me as if I'm his daughter, okay? Like, my whole life, I sat up here and I called a guy that raised me Dada, okay? It took us a long time to grow out of the word Dada, okay? We used to call him Dada, okay? Like, people used to come over and even ask, like, why y'all call him Dada? That sounds like a child, a baby, an infant. but we never stopped calling him Dada, okay, until they separated. But what I'm trying to say is, the way the world is now, the way these men are thinking, you are crazy. You are crazy. You shouldn't even want to sleep with a woman that has a child if you cannot look at that woman and that child on a community level. Okay? It just doesn't make sense. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for our tribe. It's unhealthy for our whole civilization. Okay? And another thing you got to remember, these men, like I look at these phenotype, I can see these Moorish Spaniard black men. I can see these Fiji type phenotype men. I can see these American type men. I can see these low key 3-4 generation African men. Like you can see the phenotypes. Okay? And you have to be mindful of who you're dealing with. Just like foreigners from the islands like Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, like those men do not value American women because they look at African American women as privileged, highly privileged. And if anything, they're just going to try to mentally manipulate you. And I got a whole story about a Jamaican, like I'm not even going to go there right now, okay? It was so bad that I had to have a white guy on the phone, and I had to have the white guy as my witness, and I had to tell that Jamaican, like, if you keep calling my phone, I'm going to call Homeland Security on your ass. Like, it was just that fucking bad, okay? Like, I barely knew him. And my mom was like, well, just give him a chance. I said, no, you don't understand. He's showing patterns and signs that I do not deal with, okay? So after that, like, he quit blowing my phone up, okay? But, yeah. So American women, be careful, okay? Be careful because these men out here don't think they shit stink, okay? Yeah, you laid up with a man. There are more women that have babies from laying up with niggas. These women are not just, hitting it and quitting it or prostituting it and end up with a baby. No. These women are laying up with men like wifey type women. But as soon as she pop up pregnant, he out the door. And then what makes it so bad, he knocks you up, but tell the next woman he don't want a woman with children. Oh, you single, no children. This what I like, this what I want. But he don't even want to take care of what he already done brought into the world. And that's bad. I see it too often. I just see it too often. And I observe these relationships, okay? I observe them. There are more men that screw up than women, okay? Men have a visual desire to conquer, okay? And they pursue what they want, okay? I've been around plenty of married men that can give you the same passion, love, if not more, than they give to their wife, okay? Like they hold a standard for their wife, but at the same time, they can blank their wife out totally and give you all the passion and sensation and affection as if their wife don't even exist. And don't get me wrong, women do it too. But when I see the women do it, I'm going to explain something about these women. The value they have for the man at home is more like Poindexter type shit. Like, he pay the bills, he bring the check home, but he ain't what I want emotionally. Okay? So when a woman cheats, she needs more emotionally. Like, okay, what did her wisdom from her ancient science teach her? Get a stable home. Boom, she got a stable home. Follow your heart. Boom, she following her heart. She out there working on something that stimulates her, okay? So a lot of men do get caught up in that, but that's not the point, okay? Women are in a tough spot. And why right now, as of 2022, why as of right now, the pandemic, we're being flooded with all this relationship advice from broken people? We're being flooded with all this relationship advice from a broken civilization, okay? Where your image is more important than your relationship. Your image is more important than true love and true happiness. Like, how can you continue to listen to relationship advice from a person who has children somewhere else, but say that he would never marry a woman or be with a woman that has children? And then if he does, she has to be 35 and a tiger. Come on now. Women, be careful. Be careful. Because men refresh rate is constant. They're not fixed. Their refresh rate for happiness and a threshold of excitement is always being refreshed over and over and over. You know, it's like the memory refresh rate of a computer. It refreshes the memory. It refreshes the memory so the computer don't slow down. A man is no different. Once he reached that threshold, the challenge is over, then his energy drops and he has to seek and search for another innocent woman, innocent being, innocent creature, and do the whole thing all over again. And once it burns out and once there's no more glory behind it, his refresh rate resets him to seek again. He's only designed to spread his seed. And you got to be real careful about the men that only can produce boys. A man that cannot produce a girl, you got to be very, very worried about that. And then you have to pay attention to the women who can't produce women. They only can produce boys. There is a chemical construct that you have to start paying attention to. You can't just be in these relationships because you were programmed to be in a relationship. Father, mother, child. Mother, father, child. Like, you're not abnormal if you decide this ain't for you. Okay? You're not abnormal if you decide these men are not of quality. And if they are of quality, they still don't want to hold it down because they're looking at the billboards. They're looking at the propaganda. They're looking at the programming. They're looking at television. Okay? Tell lies to your vision. They're looking at social media. They're looking at what's a commodity. They're looking at what's a trophy wife. Back in the day, your granny and your mother had wide hips and everything. thick hands. She was cooking and cleaning. And she was protecting her children. And she knew how to pick up that musket gun and shoot a motherfucker if they came wrong. If an animal or a bear or a tiger came on her porch, she was there to handle business, okay? She wasn't just sitting back scared. She had to chop wood. She had to go to the river and haul water. Like, women were not built to just be these feminine pillow princess. Women were designed to nurture and provide for a whole community. So don't let this genre and era of everybody wanting to give relationship advice, don't let that shit twist you. Don't let that shit make you feel vulnerable and lonely or nothing. Look at it. Look at it. Look who the ambassadors are. The ambassadors are Caucasian people. Those are the middlemen that can make or break the melanated indigenous man. Okay? So, women, do not quit your job. Do not quit your 9 to 5, your career, your entrepreneurship to settle for a man that can be made or broken by the middleman, the ambassador. It's so easy, it's so convenient. Do you know how many men have lost their jobs and careers and they got a housewife that never had a job or nothing, and all of a sudden they're losing everything? And the only money they had was his money. Like, for instance, they create a recession or inflation, and you're designed to just be home. Like, you're home. Nothing's wrong with that if your children are not in the system. But if your children are in the system, that means that you don't own your children. And that means that he doesn't own the children. The government owns your children. The government has the first and the last say of what goes down with your children. Don't forget, you bought that birth certificate. I mean, not bought, you signed that birth certificate. And if you have a husband, he signed the birth certificate too. So both of y'all parental rights, y'all are just parents that are renting provisions for your children. But if the government had to step in, whether right or wrong, you have no say over your children. Okay? There's times when the government say, no, we will let you conduct your business with your children because we don't have time. But if they decide that they need to push an agenda or a goal or a mission, and they needed a certain amount of children, they would just confiscate your children because you signed them over with your birth certificate. So back to these men that feel like a woman should be this, a woman should be that. Mentally assessing women. It's a freak show. It's a freak show. 9 out of 10, when a woman acts out of curiosity or expression, she's been burned 2 or 3, 4, 5 times. She slept with this man, it didn't work out right. She slept with this man, it didn't work out right. That's why I tell women, keep it business. Keep it business. Because when there's a man that want to be around you and desire you, you're not going to have to keep it business. You're going to keep it more on that wifey husband mentality. I learned at a young age that a man just wants to get his nut off. And I learned at a young age, you better benefit from it. There's not that much sex in the world. Get your education, get your career, get your trade. Because there's not enough men to go around. So when a man is talking to you, he got 4 or 5 other women, okay? And what he's trying to do is find the one that complies the most, that submits the most, that's the easiest, okay? You can have a man that's dating and courting a woman, but he'll go to another woman and buy pussy, then go back to the woman that he's dating and courting. So here she's going out to eat, they're together every day, but he's not able to actually get what he desires. So he goes and get a woman that's not like a prostitute, but he would rather pay her so he could leave the situation, because he done got in a relationship with a woman where he can't exactly leave the situation and he can't actually express his emotions or his sexual desires. So he has to pay the other woman so that he could sever the ties, while he's wifing the other woman that he's not even wifing, but it's hard for him to sever these ties, okay? He done got deep embedded into stuff that he really can't get out. It's a comfort zone. But just be careful, I'm telling y'all, remember that clip. Men out here making children and then leaving these women husbandless and the children fatherless, and going to pursue another woman that doesn't have children, and then impregnate her, get her pregnant, and then once she starts feeling like she's being played or mistreated or cheated on or lied to, and then she finally snaps because she's just not stupid, then he leaves her. Now the child is fatherless and she has no husband, and he's looking for another woman that's not a threat, that's single, that seems a bit desperate, that ain't got no children, that's a bit clueless, because women are competitive, and he gonna tell the other woman about the children and how the woman was acting and all this and that, and she gonna think she could do better, but she can't really do better, okay? She's just gonna be his refresh rate. Y'all should really research the word refresh rate, okay? A man's mental refresh rate. He is always looking for something new, spectacular, interesting, curious. You know what I mean? I'm serious. So just be careful. Like, I don't mind people in relationships. I think it's a beautiful thing. But during this pandemic, they proved that relationships are not it. Bringing children into the world are not it. That just shows how clueless people are. Like, you're still, I don't know why my spirit said an abomination. Like, people really got time to make memes about relationships. People got time to make a whole content creator version about relationships during a time like this. It's an abomination. Like, you don't even understand what the enemy has in store for you. You really trying to wifey and hubby up.